Hey, welcome to the MicRentals podcast. This is episode number 12?
12. Dozen.
A dozen. I'm your host, Stephen Aruda, a.k.a. Mike Reynolds, and this is my lovely host, Christian Miller. How you doing, dude?
Doing great. Glad to be here.
Yeah, man.
Dude, last episode, that was, I'm obviously a big fan of Jesse Burr. I've known him for a long time, and he's been my boss multiple times over. Now just acquaintances, which is great.
Yeah.
Much better place to be in. But
You ain't lying. I get it.
I love Jesse. But yeah, so.
Let's just stay friends.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was you're absolutely right. That was a treat. I mean, we just kept talking. We had to split it into two episodes. Thank you for all for tuning into both of those parts of the interview, because we just couldn't condense that to where there was just so much stuff, especially about losing our friend Andrew, and how just like how the Jesse and the team had to figure stuff out moving forward, pretty quickly.
Oh, yeah.
So, today we're kind of continuing like that timeline.
Yes.
And going into what I call the year of unrealistic expectations, which is 2020, the year of the first dumpster fire.
Yes.
Daily dumpster fire. But it didn't start off all that bad. A lot of people will trash all of 2020 into one basket. And I'm like, wait. There are almost 3 months.
Yeah, it didn't hit. All the stuff didn't hit until I think March, into March and April and stuff.
Yeah.
And so there was plenty of stuff happening beginning of the year as normal.
Yep. I was very optimistic throughout, and as you see, as we kind of unpack this stuff, you'll kind of get what I'm talking about in regards to this unrealistic expectations. So, for the beginning of the year, there's a big event called the Passion Conference.
Yes.
Which I was always familiar. I've listened to Passion Worship for a pretty long time.
Yeah.
I just didn't really know anybody, I guess, anybody in that camp, if you will. So, or I didn't think I did.
Yeah.
So Matt and I actually drove out to Passion. So this is just before New Year's of 2020.
So you guys drove there just in vehicles?
12 hours.
Yeah, to Atlanta.
Correct.
Yes.
I haven't. That drive used to be 14, and they finally finished the highway.
Yeah.
Now it's 12, which is nice. But yeah, we couldn't afford much, so we're staying like down by the airport.
Oh, buddy.
and then taking the MARTA in.
Dude, taking the MARTA.
Yeah,
Let's go.
I know. Just like, hey, it reminded me of when I lived there for a little while. But we didn't have any special passes or seating or anything like that. So we're walking around with wristbands like all the students.
Yeah.
I guess one thing I didn't know, it's for like teenagers to college age. So I look like a youth leader.
Yeah, you were like I'm here with my youth crew.
Of one, Matt, who still looks like, a 20-year-old.
Yeah, we came from a small town in Oklahoma. This is my one youth.
Yeah, and, man, it's fine. We were bumping into kids from ORU and all that stuff, but it was really great. First night, great experience. I think Hillsong actually, they did a downbeat timed right to when the ball dropped, and which was pretty cool. But I ended up finding out, like, Jeff Sandstrom's there, and Stephen Bailey, who I was started to be friends with. A lot of those guys, a lot of new relationships, in the past few years. But my mind went somewhere, and I don't know if it was because I was homesick or what. But I felt like I needed slash deserved. I hated to even use that word, but that's where my mental state was to be down there to hang with them. But dude, I didn't have the relationship I have with them like I do now, and it's funny. I started getting anxious. I was like, "What the heck is?" So I had all these unrealistic expectations, and when an expectation doesn't get met, that can lead to, especially in the extreme form. If you're so counting on it, so looking forward to it. It's like really low, and that
Yeah.
can lead to like a depression and all that stuff. And it was I could feel the kind of the pendulum swinging, and it really stunk. It was Steven actually. Bailey gave me really good advice over a text. He's like, "Man, go for a walk, call your wife, check in on your family." And I was like, "Man, that's like the best thing somebody could have ever told me." And then I calmed myself down and was like, "Go get back in your dang seat." We kept getting moved around. The seat we sat in the night before, the door holders were moving us from another section. We ended up all the way stage right, all the way to the corner where you had to. It was side fills and a side filled screen, and just like I needed to just be content with where we were at. It's funny, that was some foreshadowing for the year to come and some things to come from there. But I got to see who's now a great friend of ours, Josiah Kenzanella, who is like the audio director for all of the Passion events. So he's there, builds the audio team together, comes up with the whole audio plan for that stuff. It's a pretty major undertaking. So I got to see him at the end. It's funny, he's now we do quite a bit of stuff with him, and just again the relationships with all those guys is way deeper than it was then. I was trying to make something happen that shouldn't have, and it's funny, we obviously finished everything and came back home safe and sound, and then in a couple of weeks, I'm heading to the NAMM show.
Yeah.
And so, with the NAMM show, I felt like this theme kind of kept following me. Apparently, I didn't learn my lesson at Mercedes-Benz, or at Passion rather, and the year was kind of picking up pretty dang quick. It's actually picking up right where it left off in 2019.
Yeah.
Probably a record-breaking January according to where we were at those 5 years, because we're turning 5 in 2020.
Yeah.
We just turned 10. So, and man, I ended up actually bringing Jesse and Andy Chrisman with me to the NAMM show. Neither of them have ever been.
Yeah.
And if you don't know who Andy Chrisman is, but he was our worship leader at Church on the Move. But he was part of the a group named For Him. My first Sunday at Church on the Move, they actually in 2000 they actually performed.
Oh, nice.
to give you the year, he's wearing denim on denim.
Yeah,
So
buddy. He's doing the Canadian tuxedo.
Yeah. No, that was good. I've never heard that before. That's but we've had, now I fast forward, especially after Andrew passing, I've these relationships at Church on the Move, they actually started getting deeper, like with Marcos, with Andy, and I was using this as just a gesture to spend some more time with him and let him get out of, and what was really great. So they ended up doing the first MXU since Andrew's passing, but it was super well attended.
Yeah.
It was gonna be different, but hey, they brought in Pooch.
Yeah.
They brought in Robert Scoville, so it was fire.
It was rocking.
Yeah. I remember, that's right, Armando was there. He just got off kind of back into the mix of things after going through battling cancer for a few years. So yeah, it was great. And then Andy was there, and getting actually there was some worship leaders there who were happy to see him. It was just really good to make all these connections. But with NAMM, I walked into NAMM with these. I even have to deal with, what happens when things are going good. What kind of tends to settle in? We kind of talked about this past week, right?
Mm-hmm.
Complacency,
Yeah.
Comfort.
Yeah.
Hubris is right, but right can be right in there too. Like,
Yeah.
I've done this, I've done that, and man, if you're not slaying that daily, it can take over your thought process. And especially when if you're somewhere and everybody's complimenting you, you have to continue to tell yourself you started from nothing. You're not done yet. You're still on the journey. You have to keep reminding yourself. So NAMM was a humbling reminder of we haven't done nothing yet.
Yeah.
Because I had certain expectations of meetings or dinners, and they just were not panning out the way I thought they quote unquote should.
Yeah.
Even like I was getting frustrated with the parking situation. Andy was staying so dang positive, it was almost driving me nuts. But I learned a lot from that moment, and he kept quoting the verse Romans 8:28, and I that became one of my favorite verses, because it just kept reminding me like there's only so much you can control.
Yeah.
And it's funny. I think the last day was the best day because I was just by myself. One cool thing that happened there was we were at the SSL booth, and uh, a, a guy was having trouble getting his session properly to play back through the SSL consoles.
Yeah.
And it was so so great. I was like, Jesse, you know how to fix this. I know you. And so I elbowed him, pushing him kind of into that console, man.
Yeah.
And I caught this great picture of everybody smiling and him fixing that. So that was a really, really cool memory. Things from that show and all that stuff are kind of a blur. I think Soyuz had a pretty cool mic that didn't come out, still has not come out. I have a picture of it. I got to dig out from somewhere, but that was the biggest thing, man, was the unrealistic expectations again caught me.
Yeah.
And I was like, this has got to stop. And I'm glad I got that under control because of what with the year that was to come. Funny enough, we mentioned mentioned Mercedes-Benz.
Yeah.
Well, in 2019, a couple episodes ago, we talked about that before we brought in Jesse, that we got the Super Bowls for the first time.
Yeah, the Earthworks FM 500s.
Yeah. Who was in the Super Bowl in 2020? Was that Eagles? And yeah, that was Eagles and the Patriots again, wasn't it? You look. This is sports and microphones.
That was the Chiefs and the Niners.
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh my word. I didn't realize that. So that's kind of funny that now we got mics going to the bends for that and stuff. And it kind of became a little bit of a routine. It just was the Dan Dwyer connection there again, just chatting with him. And it's funny. He mentioned, he's like, man, you should come out next year. I was like, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Not so fast.
Yeah.
So that was really cool to do that again. But another event that came up on our radar was friend Tone Stevens was putting together this really cool thing called Road Crew Live. And it was going to happen up in Lidditz, Pennsylvania. Lidditz is a small little Amish farming community. And I think that would be, I don't know if that's considered central Pennsylvania, but it's like 40 minutes from Lancaster, about 2 hours from Philly, or at least the airport. And almost reminds me of Pryor.
Yeah.
Like just their Mennonite.
Yes, correct.
And so that's like the home of Claire Brothers or Claire Global.
Yeah.
And I had no idea how massive of an operation like Claire was. I heard about it. They rented some stuff from us for I think we did rentals for fish, like a two or three dozen headsets or something crazy like that for New Year's one year. Might have even been that year. But Tone was assembling a band and 3 to 4 engineers to do kind of like a mix MXU thing, but just a little bit different from the guys that had a different backgrounds or whatever. But one of them was Ron Cook. He came out of Willow Creek, but did a lot of stuff outside of the church. And then Ivan Telemontes, who's our friend still to this day. Excellent studio guy and broadcast mixer as well. And then also CJ Stemple, who's works with Nora Jones. Didn't I know him a lot more now. Actually, it's funny. All those guys I know way more than we did 5 years ago.
Yeah.
But Tone invited me. I came up to just support him. and wherever this was going to end up going. And I was just a fly on the wall, man. I was just taking like the seat in the back and absorbing what I was watching. So they did everything from like a line check and everything in front of people. So pretty raw.
Yeah.
Ron Cook that did that portion of it. But then another guy who I've never met in my life, I only heard his name, but his name was James Barry. Another person who, like, now the relationship is way different. But it's one of those things. The same position I have now is I don't chase after people.
Yeah.
It's funny. I kind of, not to get spiritual, but it's just how I operate. I kind of let God work certain things out, and I don't try to make moves or manipulate like timelines in order to make something happen.
Yeah.
I wait, and it's funny how they just boomerang right back.
Yeah.
It's funny. All four of those guys, very similar circumstances, but James was definitely one of them where I just said, hi, thanks for doing this. So he was focusing on in-ear. So James Barry he's good Lord, there's like Stevie Wonder and Lionel Richie and Fantasia. But of course, Beyonce's been his biggest one for a really long time.
Yeah.
And I just it was great to see like how the pros do it. These are like the Robert Scovilles and the Pooches. And then I don't know much about the monitor world. But James was like introduced the Digico 338 came out for the first time. So I don't know much about Digicos. I know SSL and
some Light Midas
X32 kind of stuff. But I have you ever heard of any of those names before before you started working with us?
No, not at all.
See, and that's a thing. A lot of them are just like behind the scene rock stars.
Yeah.
And James Barry is like what I call like grade A door kicker.
Yeah.
One of the fastest thinkers on his feet that I've ever seen. I have to stop and think and do. He's moving and doing all kinds of stuff at the same time. Even there, he was treating this like it was a tour setup. And again, I was just impressed with everybody. The band was incredible. Half these guys could probably be. One of the guys actually was Paris, who's a Nord endorsed artist. Was actually one of the backup keyboard players for like the Roots, on the Tonight Show, and I was just crazy. Like, and he played like he was too.
Yeah.
Anyway, I was just eating all this up. It was just let's see what this could be, what it could do. Taking in the experience, we were staying at the Hotel Rock Lidditz, which again, if you're a production head and you have it's like a production mecca.
Yeah.
You go up there and then you have everybody's got an office like Yamaha, Digico's up there, Four Wall has a headquarters up there, and it's perfect. The restaurant at the hotel is called Per Diem. It's like the coolest. Nice. The pieces in the hotel are retired set pieces from tours.
That's crazy.
When you get off it's not there anymore, but I got a picture of this. When you get off the elevator, it's a cross section of the stage that had grass growing out of it for the Men of the Woods tour for Justin Timberlake.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and just the way they set it up. And there's like old components from Claire cabinets and things like that. So I did not know where this is February. There's a lot of talk about like, hey, get involved in this or that, and so far, COVID wasn't having a great impact, especially where we were.
Yeah.
Midwest and even up there. When I was at NAMM, I noticed a lot of the foreign manufacturers coming in were all like masked and gloved up. They were coming from places where it was hot spots for it. That's all that was known at the time.
Yeah.
What's funny is just a little flashback. I remember specifically going to Walgreens and handing bottles of hand sanitizer to Jesse and Andy while we were out there. But it wasn't on anybody's radar. Not here. So we kind of got prepared. Easter was coming a month from there, so that was the mindset was starting to shift. Is how we're going to navigate Easter. So, yeah.
So before we get into that, because that's just going to be a whole thing.
It is.
Let's talk about the mics that we're on today.
I've never seen these in my life.
Yeah, and so obviously this is a little, we're kind of being a little jokey over here with the whole everybody and their grandma using an SM7B during the lockdown. From Hillsong to Passion to I know Church on the Move did a ton of these like in people's homes, like they found a cool home and they do sets there, do like a service there or whatever, and every singer had to have an SM7B.
Yeah, we had to. I think our rental inventory bloated to like 20.
Yeah,
something ridiculous like that, and then we were selling them like crazy too. Yeah. And I remember talking to our Shure rep, and he was just like, I think Sweetwater was buying them by the semi loads.
Yeah,
I was like, are you serious? And so that got hot. Cloudlifters got hot. Excuse me, because we're running these through Cloudlifters.
Yes.
Excuse me. So if they sound a little better than your SM7Bs, it's because they're running through a pretty decent inline pre. So a Cloudlifter is an inline pre. Did you put those extra ones back?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, shoot, dang it. Inline pre. So on like a little console or whatever, that preamp, the thing you're plugging into, that's a preamp. SM7Bs by nature by design, they don't have a high output gain. So most consoles don't make up that gain very well. So, and especially a lot of interfaces don't either.
Yeah.
So using the Cloudlifters, they lift that gain up, and sometimes they can color it a little bit because there's electronics in there. Usually there's transformers depending on how they're built. Yeah. So remember, like Soyuz inline pre, the launcher.
Oh yeah, the launcher
made it dark.
Yeah.
And again, you might want that sound. Cathedral Pipes made a really cool one.
Yeah.
I don't think we have ours anymore.
No.
Royer's got an inline pre, the D-Booster. SE's got a couple different ones.
Yeah.
It's funny. I think I still have that box of dynamites.
Yeah, sticks of dynamites in the.
We sold like 3, and then COVID was over.
Yeah.
But my favorite. Do you have a favorite inline pre by chance?
Not really. I've mostly just used the Cloudlifters in my experience because I've mostly used inline pre's with SM7s.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, mine. Go ahead.
What I was going to say is like the thing I found very comical is before COVID I knew SM7Bs were great, but I've only used them in like studio applications where doing like voiceovers or doing like getting some it was all that kind of studio stuff, and so it wasn't like vocalists using it. And so I was like, oh, that's cool, and then I was just like, oh, everyone's doing this now.
Yeah, I mean we got to a point where it was like I need cases for these, like good cases. So I found a guy on the East Coast to help me make, Rusty was his name, but to help me make cases for these. And then got like a legit case insert designed to fit the SM7B. I mean, excuse me, to fit the SKB case.
Yeah, an I-Series case.
Yeah, just so it's something nice, because I mean you know how we do stuff. We don't want to send it out and have a look. The foam.
Yeah, it's not like a soft or like a soft foam case where it's like
here's the box. We expect it to return as exactly. That was the only way you could control that.
Yeah.
And there's the very well known fact is what record, the most popular record of all time that these were used on. That would be Michael Jackson's Thriller. I
was going to say Thriller, but I was just waiting for you to stump me on it. So
no, all good. And it's funny, you don't think about that, but it's gotta, number one, it's just gotta sound good. Don't just be like, well, Michael Jackson used it. I was like, do you have Michael Jackson's voice?
No, 100%.
Or all the gear that was in the studio with Bruce Sweden, I think. Sweden was obviously... Quincy Jones produced it.
Yeah.
And that was actually another thing. I think Q had some pushback, like, you're using what?
Yeah.
Because, I've seen some of his recordings, like We Are the World and all that stuff. And, he's got like C12s.
Oh, yeah.
The $10,000 condensers and all that stuff. So breaking out a probably at that time these were only like $200 to $300,
Yeah.
right? So yeah, these have become the staple for like a lot of podcasts.
Yeah.
So like our podcast inventory was kind of out of control, whether we were selling it or whether we were renting it. People trying stuff out for their stuff. Yeah, so it's still a great mic. They have now they have the SM7DB where they've fixed the
they added they added the gain staging in it.
Correct.
Yeah.
And there's some other like prosumer models, the SMV7, which I can't remember if we've done a few things on those, or if I did a review on those, but I felt like I've talked on them, and those sound decent too. It just depends, but it's USB, so it's just like you can only take up so many USB slots or something like that. But good old standby, the SM7B here on the MicRentals podcast finally made it.
Yes.
So we, when we talked about 2020, as obviously this is as 2020 was progressing and things were like shutting down and all that stuff. But a time like this, or a time like that, really challenges your character as an individual, but as a company as well. And because of course I'm thinking about, I have 2 employees, myself included.
Yeah.
Thankfully, neither of them had, they weren't married, didn't have families. I sure dang was with 6 kids. But my biggest goal, while I started hearing about things closing down, I can't remember the obviously exact dates, but we started getting calls mid-March about cancellations. And it's just like, oh crap, what do you do? Because like the amount, I think the amount was getting up to almost 50,000 in lost rentals. Those I looked at and I had to actually talk through with people.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, if they know us and they used us before, it makes sense to it that I feel more comfortable asking. It's like, hey, could we turn this into a credit that could be used for a future rental?
Yeah.
Do you guys feel good about that? Does check with when dealing with churches, so check with your administrator and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I'm not going to make them do anything. It's funny, contractually we could have been like, well, this says this and you have to. I more or less metaphorically tore that up. I was not gonna hold people over a piece of paper, and especially people who use this for the first time. This was their first time, and you think I'm gonna do something like that to them? I was like, no, I want them to come back.
Yeah.
And they have no idea if they're gonna, come back to us. So thankfully, our good friends over at Victory, because we started doing all of their Easter and Christmas rentals. They were so very gracious and understood. And what's funny, as we moved through 2020, they actually ended up eating up that credit all the way through Christmas of 2020, and then they were back on.
Yeah.
Well, because as you know, Oklahoma had a little bit different, I guess, statistics than everybody else. I mean, Broken Arrow, that's where we are, if you didn't know, had no mask mandate whatsoever. And that shocks people when I tell them. I was like, well, they were basing it upon the numbers, and the council could never got the numbers to justify those mandates. So we did have shutdowns. The whole to-go food thing, that was a thing. But the restaurants opened up Mother's Day of May, so it was not even 2 months.
Yeah.
Right? Excuse me. But yeah, seeing all that Easter stuff go away, some people, the buzzword I told you about, pivot. Everybody said pivot that year. I'm pivoting to this. We're going to pivot to that. And I get it. You kind of had no choice. But some of the churches ended up doing streaming only stuff.
Yeah.
The biggest blessing happened. I forgot about that. How could I forget about this? I mentioned Stephen Bailey, right?
Yeah.
The biggest blessing was Stephen Bailey called us from Passion and said, hey, we got to put this link in there for people to see it, because it was pretty. He's like, hey, we're doing a socially distanced orchestra and choir.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, great. How many mics do you need? He was like 60 4099s. So you know how many we have now.
Yes.
Got a ton. So backtrack 5 years.
Yeah.
That was like every 4099 I think we had.
Yeah.
It was like 40 to 60. It was a big number.
Man, that's a ton.
It was a big number. And then probably every Flex One 730 from Earthworks, every one of those that we could afford to send to. So it was all of it. That was a huge shot in the arm. Of course, I took advantage of things from the SBA like payroll protection and EIDL stuff, just to be sure I wasn't like sending anybody home.
Yeah.
We all had to look at things differently and do things differently. But that was a huge blessing. I hope he hears this. And even though I've told him, I don't know how many dang times, gratitude for me never expires, but that was big. So if you have a chance to watch that video, it's fun. It's Easter of 2020 at Passion. And they did the song, The Blessing. But you're on the other end of this.
Yeah.
So you're still at Church on the Move. What are you guys up to?
So we Tulsa was different than Broken Arrow, and so there was mask mandates and all that stuff, and obviously stuff shut down for a bit, and so us and the rest of the production team were considered important workers or whatever it was, essential, yeah. And so so I was at home 4 to 5 days a week, and then we transformed our main stage into a studio space, basically. And so we got some cameras set up on some tripods and stuff like that, redid the lighting rig, made it kind of in the round kind of feel. And we had to move our L500 at the time up into our Pro Tools room.
Oh my God.
Up there and basically turned it and reconfigured it almost into like the studio desk kind of thing where it's still routed back and went it so we could do streaming and stuff like that. But it was all up there. And
because you guys were producing a lot of content. Everything turned to content driven.
Correct. Yeah. So like during the week I was mastering, almost, like 2 full hour segments worth of stuff along with all these little random things that would pop up. So like the kids department's called Kids on the Move, and they did like an hour-long like multiple video segment kind of thing for kids for Saturday morning.
Yes, thank you. I benefited greatly from that.
Yeah, and then they also did Gospel Bill reruns, and so that was another thing. And so you're doing all that, and then you're just in tons of meetings during that time. It's like every teams meeting for everything.
Yeah.
And then we'd go and do the services and stuff, and then there was the one-off things like we'd go to someone's house, and we'd go. You would show up with your beautiful X32 producer and a bunch of SM7Bs, and we'll get stuff set up to do something in someone's, really beautiful midtown home kind of thing, like exposed brick and wood and all that stuff. And
yeah, you guys did a Christmas thing like that. And,
yeah.
And then some other like special music type stuff.
Yeah, the Christmas thing was cool. So they shot that at a home, and then I got to be a part of the post-production side of it, and I helped mix all of that down in Pro Tools.
Nice.
For that to go live. And so that was a lot of fun.
The only thing you were missing were some like room mics, man. That would have been really
good.
For real. I'm still critiquing it 5 years later. No, man. You had to bring those things to people because especially I had a different, I wanted to still just go wherever the heck I wanted to go and all that stuff. And I get it. That can turn into a whole nother conversation. Victory ended up doing a little bit. They ended up doing. I drove.
Yeah, they did the whole rooftop services with the FM transmitter and all that.
Yeah. Like Sean Foyt showed up one day, but then they got to Easter. Yeah, so people in the back of their trucks, like with lawn chairs and stuff.
Yeah.
But what was amazing is somebody was trying to get them shut down.
Yeah.
But both the mayor and the chief of police were like, they're feeding people. And I'm not talking about spiritually. They're literally feeding people. So they would open up their storehouse in the back and like people could actually get groceries, the things that weren't on the shelves.
Yeah, like toilet paper.
I remember getting yelled at for grabbing 2 cases of water. I was like, I have 6 children. I was like, So I just went to my car.
Let's do math. Okay, 6 people. There's 40 bottles of water. This is barely going to last me a week.
Right. Good luck. Yeah, I would give it. Yeah, correct. I would give it 4 days.
Yeah,
not even that. I just was like, okay, they just wanted me to keep coming back, and just I applied a lot of grace on that stuff, and it's funny. I love that we were receiving so much grace from people, even people that were coming back to us to buy stuff. They would tell me like, "Hey man, don't discount this." I was like, "Are you sure?" Just to support us.
Yeah.
We deemed ourselves essential. We weren't like on that essential list, because I was like, well, if people are placing orders, we're essential.
Yeah. For sure.
And this whole building was empty.
Well, and it was only 3 people, so it's not like you're 10 people in a room together, like doing a sweatshop or something over here.
And yeah, well, keep in mind though, it was just those 3 rooms in the hallway.
Yeah, but if someone came by, it was like there's 1 person per room. We're distancing.
Very true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very, very true. Because all the wireless and stuff was in the room.
We even had to do that
office.
during the live stuff we shot on stage. We even had to coordinate when people would come on and off, to make sure there was the 10 people or whatever limit, including me. I was the backstage manager for all those. And so it was like, okay, they're going this way. Okay, you can come back on and go here. Swap these people out. These people walk that way. Yeah.
Keeping the equilibrium.
Yeah,
going.
we're just trying to make sure everything was, kosher on all fronts, and everyone was happy. And so
nothing could prepare you as a business owner and leader of people. So both family, and also you have people's livelihoods that you're now responsible for. Nothing could prepare you for what COVID brought. As far as the challenges to your character and how everybody you have to think of, and all that. But we just really kind of took it day by day. A lot of phone conversations. Same thing. Zoom. Oh my God, I'm not a fan of Zoom calls and stuff, and so just getting used to that made me want to throw up.
Oh yeah.
But our friends at MXU couldn't do any live events, so
correct, yeah.
Definitely Philo's canceled, MXU's canceled, and I can't even remember when the next one was, but the beauty of going through this was I already went through unrealistic expectations at the beginning of the year, so I was able to just calmly just take it day by day. My family too.
Yeah.
Beauty about having this whole building, I was like, hey, we're homeschooled. We've always been homeschooled, so we're not having to figure out how to do online class, right?
That's true.
We're already there.
Yeah.
So come up in the cafeteria, here's your school, and then the every one of my
the cafeteria, like this room at that time, right?
That's right. This is a third of the cafeteria. I forgot about that. And then outside, all my kids learned how to ride bikes.
Yeah.
Well, the younger ones who weren't riding without trainers, right?
Yeah.
Finally learned how to ride bikes. So that it's like bring your skates, so they learned how to skate, ride bikes. It was great. We had all those good things going on for us. But the funny thing is about that whole credit refund situation. Is that I think October of last year, because I told them these are non-expiring credits.
Yeah.
So you come to me 10 years later, it's still there.
Yeah.
And one gentleman out of New Jersey, I was doing stuff for a Catholic school, hit us up, and I was like, 100%, man. I still have that credit memo. It's all yours, and it wasn't cheap.
Yeah.
But I always have to remind myself, put your money where your mouth is.
Oh yeah.
Goodness, that something else that was kind of that just was sticking out was we were talking about pivoting. I hired Jesse just 5 months before that.
Yeah.
And I was just like, hey man, I need you to kind of shift to helping us sell some of the used gear.
Yeah, jump on the consignment bus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Correct. If you didn't know, we do used stuff and mostly on eBay. MicRentals is our username. Check that out if that any of that stuff makes sense to you. Some of it's stuff off of our shelves, but then, at the time, I think you gave us the first pile.
Yeah, probably, yeah.
And we're just like, we'll keep it to small, certain audio equipment. And that was something he just had to do. Otherwise, his time wouldn't have been occupied.
Yeah.
Because keep in mind, we lost half of the rental revenue that we were expecting.
Yeah.
However, the sales side of things completely. So people were using us to try stuff, and then turning around to buy it. In-ears were a lot more popular because people had the wired mics, but they needed wireless in-ears. Our good friends at Bethel Music, that we've struck up a great relationship since meeting them at Heaven Come in 2019 down in Dallas. They were using us for last minute stuff, because some, you've heard, some churches were like kind of pushing the edge, getting citations and all that stuff. And just wouldn't stop. But thankfully we were in the, kind of the church Christian music / country space.
Yeah.
And so like Spectrum started pushing tours out again, I think end of summer.
Yeah.
Right? Something pretty early. And there was like a lot of supplemental stuff that they were needing from us. So that was pretty cool. So that was kind of part my accent wanted to come out. That was part of a bounce back.
Fahaba.
Yeah. She was, I thought that would die off after moving to Oklahoma. It just comes back out every once in a while. So part of us bouncing back in that year is really not doing anything different, but it's just like, what can we do? What can we do better? And what better thing to do than to overhaul our website? It was a flipping mess. You could put whatever number of microphones you want in there, and it would actually let you check out with like 30 something of what we don't have.
Yeah.
So frustrating. Manually turning stuff on and off. Our Google Calendar.
Oh my gosh.
I'll give you a screenshot of that godforsaken mess. Looked like a fruit salad.
Did you guys have the U87 on the website at that time too?
We did. Oh man, we're gonna go there.
Well, I was just thinking like, I'm gonna put 100 U87s in this cart and check out.
Oh man, that was all. Well, I might as well just say it. Like, the thieves started showing up. I was desperate for people to. I don't want to say desperate. I was just excited when people would find us. Yeah. And by the way, these aren't church people that are stealing from us. Just individuals. I didn't have any barriers set, and apparently it's a thing. You need a U87 if you want to record a rap album. I don't know who wrote that anywhere, but this SM7B is great for rap and hip hop vocals. Actually, probably better in some points to U87. But that was I took it personally when like all of a sudden U87s aren't returning. And it's just like, oh my gosh. And so that's some of those legal proceedings are actually still in effect.
Oh man.
Yes. And I was just like, you can't steal from us and just think it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
And I was like, I want to prevent you from stealing from the next person. So we've had to create that's out of all the things on our site. Yeah. Actually, that's not on our site anymore. Yeah. But it's like you can't rent those unless you can produce some pretty significant backing of like who you are, if you're a company and all that stuff. But if you've used us before and you're already a current customer, it's like that's not a big deal whatsoever. Yeah. We have them, but we just had to take them out of the process. It stinks because I didn't start this to be stolen from, of course. Correct. But you're not just stealing from me, but you're preventing the real reason why we started from renting the stuff. So
you didn't buy freemics.com, to forward to MicRentals. Oh man.
Yeah, no, man, and it just was tough. It's tough to navigate through, but I had to learn that and set higher. Oh my word, higher and tougher barriers for that. But yeah, all those names are on my wall. You've seen them. Yes. So it's like, they were sending, the scheme was they were sending them to this house, this abandoned house in Atlanta, and then having them delivered to a FedEx office, and I could never get FedEx office to comply with like, hey, do you have footage of this person? And all, it's a mess. But hey, that's back when I couldn't absorb something like that. Now it's, we just learned our moves too.
Yeah.
And loss is one thing. Theft is, theft is another. But we started seeing obviously as we got closer to Christmas, the heat kind of turned back on again because like most of the areas, especially in the Midwest, when I'm talking about like below Illinois, were opening back up fully. As far as I think, Church on the Move West, we were July. Was that for you guys too?
I think something like that. Yeah, because it was when they opened back up. It was they had some distancing stuff, different ways they did stuff where they could have a service, but it was different. Yeah,
and. What was everybody's, as far as the church goes, we were talking about content, but what about live services, right? Everybody who wasn't streaming all of a sudden was like, oh crap, we need to get online.
Oh yeah, in Oklahoma, it's like every other block is a First, Second, Third, Fifth Baptist church, and all of them are on Facebook Live having to do that in the moment because it was needed. But yeah.
But then when you have a bigger church, just as far as a room, just having the board mix with the pastor's mic, that really isn't going to cut it for a very long time. And then when you, especially if that's your start, and then when you start doing, you start adding, then the full service kicks back in with people, as far as full congregation, full worship band and stuff like that. So that leads me to a very awesome relationship that we got. Gentleman by the name of Kurt Kanai hit us up before the shutdown because they were about to do this massive, we helped them with some choir mic stuff early in the year. He was about to do this massive event called I Am.
Yeah.
Knew nothing about it. He's at First Pentecostal Church of North Little Rock. That's a mouthful. But he was, I think, from Atlanta, but anyway, so we had some common ground there and whatnot, but lost touch. He was another one where we just kind of kept the credit for him to use in the future. But I think come the fall of 2020, we were started getting asked to do a lot of help people with how their audience mics sound. As far as how they're getting their room into their mix. Well, one thing obviously for me, Church on the Move has always been that kind of standard. Especially it's so dang basic. Having the room mics and the audience mics all time aligned and all that stuff. Well, this room was way different, so I kind of went with a pretty full arsenal. It's just it's far deeper. The ceilings are so dang high. And here's what was great. They had stuff already. And I was like, okay, let's use what you have and then add what we think needs to happen. And so we did. They had some Audio-Technica shotguns, and they had some areas pre-wired on their columns. So we moved those to the mid part of the room on the columns. I didn't want to hang anything. Their ceiling is
they have a really beautiful building.
I was just like, I can't do that, and not to mention it's so dang high up. I don't think I wanted to get up there.
Oh, for sure.
But to capture the back of the room, we used the 3D IOs, and then that's right. I got to go back and look at some of these photos, man. And the other thing that's questioning too is hopefully this was 2020, not 2021. But I felt like we were getting into a lot of that stuff. But we added mics to the front of the stage, both the shotgun and large diaphragm, I think just 214s, things like that. But this is the benefit of bringing Jesse in is because he's a systems guy and he knows at that time they had the Midas Pro 2 and the Pro X or Pro 10. Some people call it one thing or the other. Yeah. But knowing how to patch that stuff back in. I'll do I'll do all the mic placement, all the grunt work.
Yeah.
But that was a really cool relationship, and there was a couple others that came from that as well. I felt like I was like, man, we were starting to get into like maybe the service side of things.
Yeah.
We even helped church here in a new church that got started in 2020. Abide Church, friends of ours from Church on the Move, right?
Yeah.
And same thing, just a little simple, little simple system. But all in all, towards the end of that year was, even though we didn't hit our goals, we still did better than the year before. We shouldn't have.
Yeah.
I'm always having to do the projections and my fiduciary duties, right? Yeah. And it's funny, even though the year we didn't hit our goal and all that stuff, it was great insight to what the year 2021 was going to look like. I could look back at 2020 and with tons of gratitude, because it could have been way worse for us.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. Yeah, I'm super stoked to talk about 2021 next episode.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to split it in half. I gotta.
Yeah, all good. So to all y'all, you can take 15% off any rental now, tomorrow, next year with the code RENT15. That's for you guys. Obviously, if you're watching this and you made it all the way, please subscribe, like this video, and ring the bell if you like ringing bells or something. Or I'm not into ringing bells, but thanks for watching. We'll catch you on the next one.
You're not into ringing bells. If I catch you ringing a bell, I'm like, dude, I thought you weren't into that. What?
Yeah, don't get me in the Christmas bell choir,